to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Macy Marie. A military charter jet skidded off the runway into a Florida river on Friday night, and it remains stuck in the riverbed today. The plane was carrying 143 people from Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. As CBS's Kenneth Craig reports, there were no fatalities or serious injuries, and that's one reason some are calling it a miracle.
The military chartered plane carrying 143 people from Cuba to Florida slid off the runway into the St. Johns River in Jacksonville. No one died and no serious injuries were reported in the Friday night accident.
I think it is a miracle. It could have ended we could be talking about a different story.
In Jacksonville, 16 investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are now working to determine how the Boeing 737 ended up in the shallow water. An NTSB official displayed the plane's data recorder after it was recovered.
The cockpit voice recorder, which is the device that records the intra-cockpit conversation between the crew and also external transmissions with air traffic control, is another matter. That is in the tail of the aircraft and is currently underwater, and we cannot get to it until the aircraft is moved.
The Miami Air International flight took off from the naval station at Guantanamo Bay. Officials say the plane, which carried civilian and military personnel, was landing in a thunderstorm when the accident happened just before 10 p.m.
The crews went into the water to rescue the personnel that were on the wings of the aircraft. They started bringing the personnel from the aircraft to the shore.
By early Saturday, all 136 passengers and 7 crew members had been rescued. Kenneth Craig, CBS News.
Officials say the fate of pets in the cargo hold remains unknown. And here in the Bluegrass, celebrations were underway, even in parts of eastern Kentucky this afternoon for Derby Days. ARH hosted their annual Derby party this evening. Each year they host this event to raise money for a different cause, and this year that money will go toward the patients who have cardiac problems, whether that be helping provide transportation to patients or helping them just pay a bill.
The Derby Party is just a great fun event. We're raising money this year for cardiacs, for people who need transportation or they may need help with a bill. So this event will raise probably $20,000 to help those people.
Stone says he loves seeing the amount of community support that always comes out to this event. And it was a busy Derby day, whether you were in eastern Kentucky, in Churchill Downs, or even in Keeneland. Olivia Russell has more on the celebration that took place in Lexington today.
A packed racetrack for this year's Kentucky Derby.
You cannot come to Kentucky without coming to Keeneland.
We are everything horse racing, and so we love to be a part of the Derby experience, which is, the best 2 minutes in sports.
But here at Keeneland, the attention was on the screens, not the track.
Even though there aren't any horses racing here today, fans are still able to get up on the rail and cheer for their favorite horses.
People are looking at the scoreboard and everything, and they're obviously enjoying everything that's here.
Fans cheered as Maximum Security crossed the finish line first. But making Derby history, the horse that crossed first wasn't declared the official winner, and Country House trotted away with the roses.
So now everyone's in an uproar.
It's like some people are happy, some people are sad about it.
Fans say it's called the Kentucky Derby, so whether you're in Louisville or Lexington, you're still part of 145 years of tradition.
The state as a whole is behind horse racing. So at either location you go, it's going to be enthusiastic, it's going to be exciting.
And while the rain was a challenge for some, it didn't stop true racing fans.
Rain doesn't stop anyone in Kentucky. We are ride or die fans.
In Lexington, Olivia Russell, WKYT.
And this was the 145th Kentucky Derby.
Definitely a soggy Derby day across the Bluegrass, and the rain continues to fall tonight here in eastern Kentucky. Pinpoint Doppler tracking some of that heavier precipitation up into portions of West Virginia and also back towards the Cumberland Valley. In fact, we do have a flash flood warning out for Logan County in West Virginia. That is going to go until 12:15 tonight. You can see that there on the right side of your screen. That is for Logan County, West Virginia. Everybody else pretty much under a flood watch for early Sunday morning, as that heavy rain will continue overnight. Could cause a few isolated high water problems. Temperatures right now into the mid 60s. And as we take you through the overnight, courtesy of the WYMT weather app, you'll see the rain chances continue all the way into early on your Sunday morning. By the lunchtime hour, we should see those chances drop down to about 10% or so, and then we'll transition to another round of isolated to scattered showers in the afternoon as temperatures rebound into the mid to upper 60s and low 70s. Bottom line, though, heavy rain possible tonight. We'll track more of it and how much more we could see coming up here in just a few minutes, Macy.
All right, thank you, Shane. An 18-year-old was killed during a crash on Highway 52 in Madison County this morning. The Madison County coroner identifies the victim as Marcus Lewis II from Hardsburg. The coroner says Lewis was a student at Mercer County High School. He says Lewis was driving when he lost control and hit a tree. A passenger in the car was taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. Although more than 44 million American adults have a mental health condition, many go undiagnosed. In honor of National Mental Health Awareness Month, the Coal Run Lions Club hosted a walk and talk event this afternoon. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 18% of adults in the United States have a mental health condition. Psychiatrist Dr. Jay Norala says any mental condition should be treated like any other illnesses.
People don't want to consider mental health as a medical illness. This is the medical illness, just like people suffer from diabetes, high blood pressure.
Organizers say events like this help open the conversation about mental health conditions. The walk and talk lasted from 12 until 4 p.m. and you can call the number on your screen for any mental health conditions you are concerned about. And that number is 1-800-662-4357. The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team got a call just after 11 o'clock today for a hiker who was having a heart attack. That hiker was more than 2 miles into the Hanson Point Trail in the Red River Gorge. With the help of several rescue workers, they were able to get the man off the trail and then transported him to a hospital by ambulance. He was alert and talking when he was carried out. A free dental clinic bus came to Floyd County to help those who cannot afford proper dental care. God's Appalachian Partnership teamed up with North American Mission Board to provide dental procedures to those who are in need. Volunteer dentists, dental hygienists, and nurses came out from the community and state to help.
We're just offering this free dental clinic for any of those who just need it in our area, and we're able to offer this to those who need it and to be able to share the gospel with those.
Morris says that he hopes to have the dental bus back again in the near future. Rescue crews searched for 2 men after their helicopter crashed into Chesapeake Bay near D.C. Coast Guard received a report just after noon that a 2-seat helicopter with 2 men aboard crashed about a mile south of Kent Island. Coast Guard officials say they're working with state and local partners to find those men. It's not known what caused that chopper to go down. Authorities have recovered the body of 1 person following an explosion and fire at a northern Illinois factory. They believe 2 other people who are still missing are dead. Crews have suspended their search for the other 2 workers because of concerns about the building's stability. 9 employees were inside the plant when the explosion happened around 9:30 last night. 4 were taken to the hospital and 2 declined treatment. North Korea captured the world's attention today, firing off a strong range of missiles off its east coast. It was the regime's first test in more than a year. At the White House, the president signaled he still has confidence in leader Kim Jong-un, tweeting, "I am with him." Elizabeth Palmer is in Tokyo tracking those developments.
The so-called projectiles fired from North Korea's east coast splashed down between 40 and 125 miles offshore. The Pentagon and arms experts are now studying satellite data to pinpoint exactly what these weapons were, but they are certainly not long-range ballistic missiles that could threaten the United States. Today's launch is undoubtedly a message, but addressed to who? North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, may be signaling his frustration with the U.S. over the stalled negotiations to swap sanctions relief for denuclearization. Talks between Presidents Trump and Kim ended in a stalemate last February. The launch may also be a message to South Korea, which has been taking part in joint military exercises with the U.S. Air Force. North Korea has always viewed such exercises as preparations for an invasion. The North Koreans fired their weapons in the direction of Japan, though they fell well short. But Japan's foreign minister spoke with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today to tell him that his country's national security was not at risk. However, every government in this region will be watching anxiously in case today's launch is just a prelude to even more dangerous provocations by Pyongyang.
The White House did respond to the launch with a brief statement saying only that it was aware of North Korea's actions and it would continue to monitor as necessary. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, Tokyo.
98 guns are missing after a burglary in the state of Washington. Investigators released surveillance video of 3 people who broke into a gun store on Monday. The alarm was tripped just before 2 a.m. after someone broke the glass doors off the store. 3 rewards are being offered to anyone with information that leads to an arrest. One family is now admitting to paying $6.5 million to get their daughter into college. It's part of the same admission scam that has Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman in trouble. But this family says they are victims who thought the process was legitimate. Federal authorities say the $6.5 million is the largest amount of money anyone has admitted to paying college admission scam artist Rick Singer. The money came from a Chinese pharmaceutical billionaire who was trying to get his daughter into Stanford. YouTube now has 2 billion monthly users. The Google-owned video giant continues to boost its living room footprint. Watch time of YouTube on TV screens was more than 250 million hours per day as of March 2019, according to the company. And that's an increase of 39% in less than a year. And excluding views on YouTube TV, Google's internet pay TV service. Still to come on Mountain News Weekend Edition. A cruise ship is under quarantine after a crew member tested positive for measles. Plus, we'll tell you about a recall you should be on the lookout for.
More rain is on the way through the rest of the overnight. A look at how much more we can see coming up after the break.